Okay, we can roll. Hardus, thank you so much for letting us do this. Thanks for the showroom. I'm quite nervous where we are. It's in the midtown in Klerksdorp. But thank you so much for the opportunity.
Honor being here.
Let's quickly jump into it. Take us back to your upbringing. What inspired you, or what was there any influences or role models that inspired you to do what you do now?
Yeah, it's a very very general question, but the honest truth is no. There was not an influencer inspiring me to sell motor cars or go into a variety of businesses or whatever the case might be. If I must be blatantly honest, I was a bit undriven, didn't have focus, went through school trying to choose the easiest subjects. Did home economics though. It's a very good subject because every break there was nice food smelling in the aisles at the school. So effectively I thought, yes, at least I've got a lunch at school or whatever the case might be when I do home economics. And then I went through matric, good households, and then matric I didn't have direction. I didn't know what I want to do. So effectively,
let me just stop you there. Okay. So you're saying this now, but I'm a bit younger than you. So you were my senior with like 2 or 3 years. Yeah. You say now you didn't have direction or whatever, but you played rugby amazingly. You have a hell of a talent, but you are correct in saying you were always the guy that always joked around. It was like there was no, but I mean your talent was there from the beginning. I mean that's on sports. But
I agree. I agree. I was not actually naturally talented in rugby because I was slow and sluggish. However, but fly-off being a pivot position, I could see opportunities, and I had the discipline to go and exercise after school. So with my kicking and stuff like that. So I was predominantly a kicker, and since early primary days, I was very passionate about rugby. I can recall my dad always asked me, do you know who's the hooker of Australia? Then I'm like 7 or 8 years old, and I can tell him exactly who it was, or who was the hooker of the All Blacks, and I can tell him Sean Fitzpatrick. And then he asked me who's the prop of South Africa, then I can tell him number 4 or 5. 4 was Mark Andrews, or whatever the case might be. So yes. Direction, if I can elaborate on that, it's more in question of I didn't have this planning of my subjects, trying to go and study, knowing what I want to do. I didn't have that. For me, it was, people always ask me, and it's going to be Afrikaans, wat wil jy word as jy groot word? And then I'm like, ek wil groot word. Right? Wat wil jy word? Wil jy 'n dokter of 'n ding word? En sê nee, ek sê maar 'n ding word type of thing. But in any case, so I didn't know what I want to do. I knew I liked rugby and cricket and sports and stuff like that. And I always liked sound. My wife always mocks me. Only thing I had when we got married was 2 speakers standing like this that I can contribute to the household, so I can entertain her with a nice love song. So I like music and I like rugby, but school academically I wasn't driven. I didn't really appreciate the fact of listening in class, making it easier for the exams. So yes, I hear your point. Effectively, I then went through matric, and then I wanted to get a job. I wanted to earn income. And my dad actually suggested, why don't you consider the motor industry? And I was like, being an 18-year-old, I was thinking for myself, I mean, you get a company car, you don't have to pay for the car, then try to sell motor cars. And effectively, I tried it, and the gentleman...
Where was that? Where did you start?
A gentleman, the main thing is, if you wanted to start in the professional sector, looking for a job or whatever the case might be, your main thing or objective or barrier is experience. I went from dealership to dealership with my dad. He's helping me. Hey, wil my laaitie, wil my laaitie 'n kans gee? You want to give my laaitie a chance to see if we can sell motor cars? So effectively, everyone said no. And then a gentleman, Ruan Nagel, he was the owner of a business, Auto Sales Motor World. He gave me an opportunity. Hy het my so gekyk en gesê, wat doen jy? Wat sê, sal jy 'n kar kan verkoop, seun? Ek sê, ja, ek sal try. Hy sê, okay, begin môre, and then we put you on a 3 months probation. We've got nothing to lose, and then see if we can sell motor cars. And then I started to sell cars. Brief introduction into cars. Car sales, you need to reach your target in the probation term of 3 months. I can recall vividly, mine was 5 cars a month, and effectively I didn't make it. And after month number 3, he told me, hey Boetie, we've got a problem now, because you didn't make your probation period.
Costing me money now.
So I asked him, of that time, Meneer Nagel, will you don't have maybe other opportunity for me? And another guy that was instrumental in managerial skills was Xavier de Pre. He was in that time, they acquired the rights to represent GWM in 2007, of which is now well known, but in 2007 it was Chinese Hong Kong, who's going to buy this effectively. And then they started with GWM, and Xavier de Pre gave me the opportunity to sell cars underneath him. And then being a new car, I think it was a bit more easier to lay a foundation. He taught me a lot of managerial skills, of which I'm still applying today. And I can recall, I think the first month I sold 11 cars, the second month I sold 15 cars, and the other month I sold 16 cars. I know Nampu was...
You still remember the stats, eh?
Yeah.
You remember the cars?
Vividly, because I mean, I was 18 years old, and all of a sudden I'm earning decent money. But there's a lot of luck in that. Because it was an upcoming brand. The bakkies was very cheap. They were like 89,900 rand for a brand new bakkie.
And nobody trusted it.
Yeah, but the people argued, if it after 3 years, I don't care what's the future value. I don't care. I throw it on the dustbin because I'm paying half the price that for other bakkies. So effectively, the bakkie was pivoted on a Toyota-based 4Y engine, and it was built on a KB Isuzu body construction. So effectively, there was certain things that I can fall to, of which they helped to close the sale. But in any case, so we sold. I can recall when the truck stops there, you check the truck, you see there's a champagne double cab bakkie. And then you say, "Daai's meneer Creersen," and then you run onto the bakkie, and then you start and you drive it off. So it was very, very good. But what helped me there was luck, and then my passion started because Xavier really imparted a lot of managerial skill, costing. How do you calculate your profits? And that became interesting for me. And then. He helped me, also schooled me on how to close the deals, how to speak to your clients, because he was also entrepreneurial before. So how did I get into the market? That's a brief introduction.
Hardus, looking back at your career, were there any turning points that significantly changed the trajectory of that? I know when we met actually after school again, you were based in Potch, and there was a time that you went away to work for Imperial. Am I correct?
Yes.
And there, how does that fit into the whole picture?
Okay, so let's pick up and then fast forward. I was then at GWM and part of a group for a few years, and then I actually met my wife on GWM's floor, and then she got employed at the NWU as a administrative officer. And then I needed to make the choice. I just felt my things is a bit more flexible. So I had the opportunity to work with a very, very achieved, well-known business in Potchefstroom, and with another mentor of which I respect till today, of which also gave me a lot of skills, streetwise, how to evaluate vehicles, how to close sales. So I then went to him. And then I got married, and then I got a managerial position in a family business. Into the marriage, I got a managerial position back into Achenbach Motor Group, and then from there, my father-in-law he invested a lot in me by means of he had a lot of new brands like Hyundai, Kia, Peugeot, GWM, and all that, and they have a lot of training. So effectively, he sent me to every training that I can go to, whether it was after sales, whether it was sales, whether it was admin, whether it was how to manage conflict in the workshop, anything that you can think of. And also, he also sent me to all the informal meetings, of which normally the people in the outlier areas won't even do the effort to go and check, just to represent and learn. So with that exposure and opportunities, I gained a lot of knowledge. And then my passion grew, and my passion grew, and my passion grew, and my managerial skills grew. And there's a lot of tools that I picked up. And then I started through the Potch. My wife actually ignited that. And with more formal education, and then I went to do the management programs through the PIC at the business school, of which I did part-time. I did the 3 years, and then luckily my points were not like my matric points. It was a bit better, so my average were high, and then I went and completed the MBA. And then after I got the MBA, I got to the point that I'm working for a private individual, effectively working for a one-man
show,
man-owned dealership. So effectively, where are you going to grow to? So I thought it well to maybe go for the corporate approach, and then I had the opportunity to join Imperial, or now Motors, but now Imperial. I was there for a few months, and it wasn't what I thought it's going to be. I wasn't used to all the red tape and all the emails to cover your ass, except for excuse me for the word, but I mean all the red tape, managing people or personalities. And then after 6 months in a corporate environment, I started to live my dream of a business model that I was dreaming about for 3 years prior to that.
Okay, we're going to come to that. What motivates you to not just sell cars? What is your drive? Why do you do all of the other stuff? Why is it car sales? Why is it a new concept in the car market? Why is it a spa? Why is it properties? What motivates you?
Okay, so
why do you do what you do?
Firstly, I think it's drive is the entrepreneurial heartbeat in myself. When there's an opportunity or something that seems viable, I consult with people that I respect, like yourself, and people that I journey with, and I run ideas by and get opinions and stuff like that. But being an entrepreneur or business owner, whatever the case might be, there's a certain gut feeling that you just need to run with sometimes, even if everyone says no, or if it won't work, then you just need to push through. So I think what inspires me or pushes me in that direction is entrepreneurial heartbeat, and also confirming it by praying about it, and also standing in unity with my wife. That's what worked for me.
I think you started off with saying no, you had no drive and whatever, and I alluded to you playing rugby, because if I see you today knowing what you do, and I look back at the flyer that you were, you always looked for opportunities. There was always looking for a gap. You didn't maybe realize it, but if I remember you, it's always outside of the box. There's always like a kick that nobody wants to take, or a pass that nobody thinks of throwing, or whatever. So I think that's why I'm drawn to you. We're really good friends for a long time now, and that's every time I sit with you and I drive away, I'm like, shit, you need to do more. It's what are you doing with your life? So I think that's what draws me to you is you said you didn't have drive at school, but I could see you thinking outside of the box, and that's actually what an entrepreneur is. He thinks, we call it in Afrikaans, hulle swem stroom op, and that's actually you go against the norm, and that's actually what we're going to talk about Car Friend a bit later. That's actually your concept of the car industry, but it goes against the norm. So that's why that's just something I wanted to mention.
Thank you.
Balancing multi businesses can definitely be a hell of a challenge. And there's a word that I wrote down the questions that I want to ask you, but work-life balance. Be honest. Does it exist? How do you do it? Do you have habits maybe, or just advice that you can give as normal individuals? Because you operate on a next level. Usually in the same breath that I think, yes, I must do something more with my life, I know in my heart you must have, it's the other level. It's not the same. I talked to Frikkie on the previous podcast. I definitely don't want to do what he does for a living. The stress is next level. I know you're sitting in the same industry. They're not the same industry, but the same capacity. I mean, you're taking on a lot. There's multiple businesses. There's multiple factors. But work-life balance. Give us your take.
There is a theoretical definition of work-life balance. In my view, somebody that can pivot that through in an entrepreneurial mindset is talking BS. The thing for me is it's always a dilemma that you need to manage, because there's such a responsibility above and on your shoulders that normally when you're an entrepreneur, you've got employees. And it's difficult just to relax from the accelerator. And for me, it's impossible just to put off my phone and say, listen, you can go and rest for 2 weeks.
You are always on your phone. When we play golf, you are always on your phone.
And please don't ask.
And we lose the game usually. And usually you're the guy that says, we must put some money on the game beforehand. And then you get a call, then something happens, and then we lose the game.
The last few times we played, I played because you stopped practicing. I don't know. But in any case, if you ask my wife, the honest truth is she's going to tell me that you're always on your phone. I think I'm a bit imbalanced. I think there's a lot of ways that I can just say, okay, just do your critical your critical factors structurally, but I'm also a very social guy. So as soon as I start talking to people, then my conversation dilutes into something else also. But work-life balance is a dilemma that you need to balance. You must be fair to yourself, and you must always be true to your spouse and people, and try to explain to them that there's financial implications just to stop. If it's a business like the spa, for instance, or a bit of development that can go on with a bit of planning, and you can pivot it and you can structure it, and there's operations running and there's procedures in place, then it's easy. Like the spa, you can talk to the spa in the mornings, you can check in on because you don't work with public. The difference between all those businesses and myself at Carfriend is I work with the public directly. I'm pivotal in the close of the transaction. So there's certain times that I need to make the call, or of which I need then to speak to the clients, of which can't be just pivoted into a structure. And that is why my work-life balance is a bit of BS, because it's difficult to pivot. Because if a client phones me now and I need to be involved, I can't tell them now it's family time, because it's a question of the deal being done or not being done. But you can structure it if you do it religiously daily, and you align your workforce. You can structure it, but it's impossible for me to put off my phone for 3 days. It's impossible. So balancing act is truly a balancing act, and there's a lot of sacrifice in that. And I need to honor my wife for the sacrifices that she does.
Hardus, apart from the business success, what other achievements are you most proud of?
Firstly, success is a relative.
That was my second question. I wanted to ask you. You must define success personally for me.
So I'm not going to define success. For me, is to just answer the question. Success on success, you can come across a bit of arrogant, and on that question, I don't perceive myself as successful. I perceive myself as a daily worker. Getting out of bed as early as possible, and then everything that I have and I am is all glory to the Lord Jesus Christ. So effectively, successful, thank you, it is humbling, but all glory to God for that. And may I ask you just to elaborate the question further?
So in my experience, for me as an outsider to your business, you don't, I want to tell you this, and we haven't discussed this before, and so you help a hell of a lot of people. And I know you get a kick out of this, because if you're in your operations everywhere, the spa, the whatever, there's always family members, there's always somebody that you're paying to study this or do this or whatever. So I'm going to answer your question, and correct me if I'm wrong. Some of the success that you get is like that. It's what you can do for other people. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Is that part of why you do what you do?
Yeah, by giving, you're getting, in a certain sense. By giving, you're also fulfilling a dream maybe for somebody else, opportunity for somebody else, of which you didn't have. And always, sometimes just to be instrument to being obedient, you are giving people hope. And there's certainly a life fulfillment in giving, and and helping and assisting. And if somebody humbles me and asks me to mentor them in a certain sense. So yeah, it's definitely a part of my life that makes me feel successful.
And then obviously the MBA.
Yeah, the first joke that I want to tell you.
Your matric marks. It's not the same as your MBA marks.
The first joke I want to tell you about that is, hoe weet jy iemand het 'n MBA?
I say.
Hy sê vir jou. So that was not my heart in telling you that from the start, but for me, obtaining an MBA and the life and the life skills that it builds predominantly help you with your business and certain things.
You had quite a lot of ideas after the MBA. I know I met you while you were still studying, and you had like crazy ideas because the MBA opens a lot of doors for one if you do it.
I mean, what truly is amazing at the MBA, firstly, is to focus on fundamentals and basics. I mean, people overcomplicate stuff. Number one. Number two is strategizing versus implementation. Everyone can think about a good idea, but how to implement that, how to get your workforce in place. And then the ideas that you obtain with the caliber of people that you surround yourself with is normally professionals already in the classroom. I mean, you sit with engineers, mining engineers, civil engineers, you sit with medical doctors, you sit with financial planners, then you sit with sports athletes, everyone. And then what truly was something that you can't buy is they throw a case study in between groups, cynical groups. So how every individual sees and read the same thing and how they evaluate it, it's mind-blowing. And then if you can learn from each other, the group think type of model, and then you hear somebody's ideas and then you apply that, then there's entrepreneurial heartbeats that start to, and you say, yes, but this can work, and then you try to apply that in your industry, and then innovation grow from there. So yeah, the MBA contributing to ideas 100%, because this is one of the success factors in life, for my life, is surround yourself with people that inspires you and wants to pick you up. So
and that you can pop ideas by
100%, and there's no jealousy. So there's a aligned with that. There's a video that my dad always played us, and subconsciously it just keeps on coming up. It was a preacher, a dominee. His name was Louis Malherbe. I think he passed away in 1988 already. And he always said that you are born an eagle, and then sometimes being an eagle, you get pushed out of the nest, and now you fall, and then sometimes you land amongst the chickens, and then a mom or a brother or a dad adopts you, and all of a sudden you start to pick like a chicken, you start to eat like a chicken, you don't know you can fly. And then in that video he says that eagle amongst the chickens, he thinks it's a chicken, he goes like a chicken, he can't fly. He check there, he asks his mom, what's that? And his mom says, that's an eagle. I say, yes, I want to be an eagle. And if you are then into the right influences, you can become an eagle, always. The thing is, you need to surround yourself with eagles in life. You need to surround yourself with people that aspire you, like yourself. You now talk about rugby. I mean, when I started the business, I phoned you every day just to get hope that you can make it. Hardus, you can make it. I was on the phone at least twice or three times a week with you and ask you, yes, how's it going? And then because your opinion was always true, was always, no, he is nou bezig om stront aan te jag, or whatever the case might
It's not
be.
going to work.
So effectively, you need to surround yourself with the right influences to go.
And it doesn't cost you a lot. I mean, that's actually, I told somebody that I seen in the week, I told them, listen, my job actually mostly is clients phoning me and asking me, listen, I'm moving career, or I'm moving a job, or I quit my job and I'm moving to a new company. What do you think? It's only just opinion. It's only, listen, what do you think about it? And that's actually my relationship with you as well. Mostly we just run ideas by each other. Usually now you have a lot of nice ideas, so I usually sit at your feet.
No.
Let's quickly move over to Carfriend.
Okay.
How did the journey start with Carfriend?
Okay, so initially in 2012, the Lord gave me the name Carfriend. So I'm looking at the name now, and it's humbling again from the start. I made the Carfriend page, everything in
I remember.
in 2012 already.
Yeah,
Just
when we met, you showed me the logo and everything.
So I made the logo, but I didn't get the release spiritually, and there wasn't doors opening in practice for me, because there's life happens. My first child was born in 2013, so it's not a question of just stepping out and taking a risk. You need to be calculated, or I thought you need to be calculated. I don't know, I can build from that, and then the viewers or whoever can make their own conclusion about that. So effectively, 2012, I started with the dream, and the dream basically built from transparent advice, because this is a very distorted industry. It's an industry, in my view, that absorbs, in the majority of households, second largest monthly expense, and in certain household and other households, the biggest expense,
Definitely.
more than they're paying on bonds.
Definitely.
So
I can tell you from my experience, if I get a client 40, 45 years old, his biggest expense is a car payment.
So from there, I started with the management programs, and I thought to myself, in that time I needed to do RE 1 and 5. So effectively, what that is when you give financial advice, you needed to do it yourself also. You need to be a representative, so you needed to go through this vigilant type of exams. It's truly difficult just to tell a guy if they can buy a warranty or a credit life on your finance agreement, or whatever the case might be. And then I came to realize, you know what? For 200 Rand or 150 Rand a month, they are so, it feels like they're dissecting you. And that how transparent you must be, and how you must give proper advice. And when I looked into in the industry that I'm in, I'm like, okay, but why is it so easy for everyone? I was 18, I walked in, I started selling a car. I mean, the responsibility, and that's actually I. But it's not pivoted. Anyone can start to sell cars with no experience, whatever the case may be. So in 2012, I got Carfriend. It was about transparent advice, providing people to make an informed decision, giving people a fair deal. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone knows somewhere, somehow, you need to make money. And what I came to realize is, consumers doesn't have a problem with you making money. They want to know that they're getting a fair deal. They want to know, what are they getting? Why are they getting this? Why are they buying a car on 72 months? Why is there a residual value? Is there a residual value? What am I getting for my car? Am I getting a fair deal? At the end of the day, in my view, a client wants to go with his chommy along the Braaivleisvuur, while watching Drickers and tell the guy, I bought a car at Hardus. You know what? I got this for my trading. My finance was structured like this. I got this car, and he wants to. Yeah, that was a good deal. That's a fair deal. Not you that's cheap or whatever. He wants to know there's a fair deal. So effectively, that sparked my heart a lot. And then I went to Motus in 2015 or Imperial after I graduated with the studies. And then once again, a lady will walk in, a female with no prejudice in my heart regarding that. But knowledge regarding a vehicle, what to buy, finance structure, discounts and stuff like that is very limited. But then I will sit there through and I will give a proper advice. And then what truly put me off is, no, you know what, let me just ask my dad first, or let me phone my brother first. Not because they want to validate what you're doing, what you're telling, because they don't trust you, because the market is so I don't have a problem with them for asking their dad. It's about, I've got a problem in them truly trusting you because of this market being so distorted with very different individuals who've got different aims. So then I started to realize, okay, if you can marry information, transparent information, being fair, add value, money follows you. And that's how I started the motor industry.
Hardus, looking at industry trends.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Very nice. Listen, industry trends, if we look at something like We Buy Cars, 10 years ago, We Buy Cars was nothing. And obviously now it's a hell of a business. What is next in your industry? What do you think is going next? I mean, there's autonomous vehicles and there's electric. I went, when was I here? Last week. And you showed me that, what was that?
Hybrid.
Hybrid, what? Corolla.
Yaris.
Yaris.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is silent. You can drive it up to 60 kilometers.
It's not going to work in Orkney for you, eh?
No, it's not going to work there. Oh, okay. So, where's everything going? What do you think?
It is a difficult question. Do you want me to answer you on We Buy Cars or?
Yeah, anyone. Anything else? Start there.
So We Buy Cars wasn't there. We Buy Cars is a very interesting model for them. In my opinion, I think it's brilliant. It's like somebody working with investments. They buy cars irrespective. They take risk on certain cars, but their model is actually amazing.
Okay, but how does it work?
I don't know how it works. I've got my opinion. So
give your opinion on it.
So effectively, they buy any car. They've got their soldiers in field making pricing on cars, whether it's a bit high or a bit low, for the car. People buy it and then they throw all those cars in a pot, like an investment that's diversified. So at the end of the day, when they mix all the cars together, the income they generate is certain cars is high risk, certain cars is no risk. But the secret or the key area for them is the economies of scale, because they buy a lot of cars nationally. Enabling to do that, you need a checkbook and you need investments, and you can't do that with R1 million. You need like 100 million, 200 million, maybe R1 billion in that business model. And then the model, how I see it, is they buy the cars the next or the second or the third day as soon as the cars are at their depots. They auction it first. And then auction is open to the public, everything. And having an auction, there's a lot of emotions, because as soon as there's a bid on a car, the public and everyone start chasing the car. And then if it doesn't work on the auction, they go on the retail model, where they've got then the financing and everything possible. So effectively, the guy wants the car, didn't buy it on the auction, but now he's seeing it at the showroom, he sees it, he can drive it, and then he buys it from there. And then at the end of the day, if it doesn't sell there, they price drop it until the car sells. And then if they throw that whole business model into one basket, I think they make a lot of profit. And then myself, where it's going, I think huge industrial showrooms is falling away. I think in the new car industry, you're gonna sit in a virtual car. You're gonna drive a virtual car. You're gonna test drive a virtual car, and then you're gonna from the virtual car, you're gonna order the car. They're gonna basket it. You're gonna approve your finance, and that car that you just virtually driven is going to be ordered for you. So big showrooms are going to fall away, in my view. And used cars has got a market like never before because of new cars being so vastly expensive.
How is the interest rate? Sorry, how is the interest rate now that's high impacting your business?
Interest rates is actually not high. Interest rate is now at pre-COVID levels. So effectively, the problem a consumer made, or the fault the consumer made, is he went and bought property and long-term bonds at a low interest rate of 6.75 when it was in COVID, or when COVID offers you the opportunity. But pre-COVID interest rates were around about 11%. And now it's 11.75 and everyone is booming about interest rates being high. No, interest rates is not high. It's pre-COVID. So I'm not too concerned about the interest rates currently. I think it's going to normalize this year. I think the homework I did is the consumers is going to have a relaxation on monthly expenses and stuff. They must just pull through the first 2 quarters of this year. But that's not my forte. That's more your forte. And so I don't think the interest rates definitely had an impact on consumer behavior currently, but that is because of debts being made at 6.75 when interest rates were high, and now they went and bought properties and stuff like that. I mean, R1 million bond 2 years back, you paid 8,000 Rand on, or 8.5. Now you're paying 12,000 Rand on the same bond. And salaries didn't really increase because there's no industry that I can really think of that is booming in this stage. Everyone is in a type of survival mode to make it work. So yeah, I don't think interest rate at a real. It's got a big influence, but interest rate is not high in my view. And then closing off on your question of the market, I think it's becoming a pre-owned market like never before because cars are expensive. What car do you buy brand new currently for 250,000 Rand? What cars do you buy as a family car for 300,000 Rand? Yes, brands like Cherry and those brands come in, but it's still expensive. Or not expensive, it's priced, but it's still a respectable monthly installment per month. So I think there's a used car market that's picking up, especially for cars in the 200,000 to 300,000 vicinity, because that's the price bracket the general public buys for. So I think your used cars are going to get very competitive. I think we need to make sure that our customer experience levels is the same level as when you're buying a new car. So where is it changing? I don't think it's truly changing. I think it's evolving that your customer is educated, and then they want information and they want to trust what you're telling them.
Hardus, your customer experience, I buy all my cars with you, so I know about it. How do you enhance that experience for the client? You just said you need to make the customer experience for a client buying a second-hand car actually the same as buying a new car. What does that entail? Do you put a bow on the bonnet and let it smell nice, or what? How do you approach that?
I think a bow and stuff like that it's nice, but that is actually gimmicks.
Cosmetics.
I think the main thing the main thing when a customer walks into your showroom, whether he wants an entry-level car, he wants a car for 2,000 rand a month, is not to make him feel judged or have any prejudice in your heart regarding the client. You must answer the question, speak to the client as transparently, as truthfully as possible, because they are making the second biggest or largest expense in their budget by you. So whether they want a 2,000 rand car and that's what they can afford, earning 6,000 rand a month, or they're buying a 20,000 rand car and they're earning 100,000 rand a month, it's a huge investment out of their pocket. So my main thing is, and it's a cliche in sales, it's never judge a book by its cover, but I truly try to implement that and impart that to everyone that's working with me, is not to be prejudiced regarding a customer walking into your floor. Whether he looks like a skivvy, he doesn't have your fashion, don't judge him. Greet him with humility and with respect, and then run through the whole process as normal. And even when you then you come to a place where you see, but this guy doesn't even have the minimum salary to get finance approved, there's a way tactfully to educate your client and tell him, you know what, X, Y, Z, or whatever the case might be. So my main thing in enhancing customer experience, number one, start at the beginning by treating people with respect. Number one. Number two is knowing that when the car is sold, that your job doesn't end there. There's after sales that you need to focus on. You must never make your client feel that, yeah, now I bought the car, nou het ek die kar gekoop, nou worry nie oor my nie. You must close the sale. You must go through your licensing and your registration process. Keep your client informed. Communicate with him until he's got his license disc, everything in his hands, and then I like to do like a scatter or call, and then ask them, listen, yeah, I'm the owner of Girlfriend, just want to check how was your experience. If they were happy, I direct them to the Facebook page to go and write a review, just transparently.
But I mean, you do that.
Yeah.
You give the call.
Yeah.
As
because
the CEO.
It's important for me to know.
That says a lot. How many of your clients buys their second car from you? Like a recurring client?
If you want to measure success, I will say in this industry, that measures success.
That's why I asked.
Effectively,
that's the goal. You try to
when I sell cars, I normally tell the client from the start, I don't want to sell you a car. You can go to any group here. You can go to one of the corporate groups. Then I'm missing the point. If I can't add value for you, then and we can't establish and ignite a business relationship ongoing and making myself the preferred next choice, then I try to learn from that. I ask them, what can I do? Or I try to think for myself what I can do to make that experience better. Sometimes the clients sometimes they are not fair, and then I'm honest with myself, and then I will tell myself, you know what, Hardus, you tried your best. What the client is asking you now is not fair. So you need to always stand up for what's right, but that cuts both sides. If the business or something went wrong with the car or whatever, I back it up and I sort it out.
Hardus, we quickly discussed beforehand a aspect of maybe financing a car or buying it cash. I'm not going to go into that. That's a hell of a video on its own. So we're going to do that. We're going to schedule that. Rickard is going to be the judge and the referee. But let's say we have a young guy, maybe on his first salary. What advice will you give him? He needs to buy a car. Obviously, you said something that I didn't know beforehand. You said it's simple om 'n kar af te betaal. It's ridiculous to pay off a car. take us through your advice for a young guy. I know it's a broad question, but let's say it's your son coming into the working place and he needs a car. What would you advise him?
Okay, so the first thing is a needs analysis. What they need to achieve. I mean, the car needs to firstly provide a solution. I mean, I need to know what's the solution he's looking for. Is it a car that is going to travel 50 k's a day? Is the car that is going to travel 3 k's a day? Number one. Looking at his budget, you also need to look at factors like insurance, his demographic area, what brand he needs to buy, because living in Joburg, buying a Polo,
it's a bad idea.
It's gonna be not a very good idea, because maybe you can afford the installment, but you won't be able to afford the insurance. So effectively, yes, it is a very broad question, but firstly, what is the solution that you want to achieve by? Buying your first car, I think it's very important, and I think that constitutes your industry. Is don't be just emotional about it. It's not going to be the only car you're going to buy. So buy something that provides you a solution for now. Don't try to overextend your budget. Don't try to go too expensive. Don't try to go too fancy. Buy something that provides a solution. Number two, apply a market analysis. So if you don't know anybody that can help you, make sure what car you're going to buy and what price bracket you are in. Why I'm telling you that is a new employee or new employee approaches me, then he's earning a certain amount of money, then he comes and he wants a Golf GTI with a sunroof, whatever the case may be. Then I'm like, okay, but what do you want to pay? And then he said, okay, no, 4,000 rand. And I said, it's not logical. It's not possible. So effectively, equip yourself, maybe through influencers that you trust or whatever the case might be. What do you want to buy? Let's say the guy wants to buy a new car. New cars, it's emotional, because you're thinking you're going to buy a new car with a bow on it, and some people can afford it and pay premium for it. But if it was me buying a first car and I want to go as new as possible, I will go for demo or go for a 1-year registration car, because your biggest depreciation factor is in the first year of the car sale.
And what's the percentage of depreciation usually?
Depending on brand, but it's between 20 to 25% in your first year that you're going to lose. So, and if you want to buy then a brand new car, try to extend it till the end of the year as far as possible, and try to buy the car at let's say this year, the 2024 price, but register the car to 2025. So then effectively, economically, you're driving the car for 12 months without depreciation. So then you can accumulate at least decent mileage, and then have a year's use of the vehicle without having the depreciation. So my advice will be, if you want to go as new as possible, I won't buy brand new because of the depreciation factor. I will go for demo or 1-year-old, maybe 2-year-old car with decent case, still with a bit of factory warranty. And then if your circumstance is not the same, you need a bigger car, you want a family or you have a family, then you go to different brands. For me, it's buying the right brand with a future value that you can pivot your whole transaction on, to determine your equilibrium price, of which is the fair price to sell the car at how many years. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. What actually, I just thought about this. That's actually what makes Carfriend different, what you just explained. If I walk into a dealership somewhere else or whatever, let's say a big dealership, do you think I'm going to get the same advice or the same financial needs analysis or whatever?
I hope so.
But does it happen in the market?
I think there might be dealerships doing it.
Your model is structured around clients coming to you and say, listen, this is what I can afford. This is what I'm driving each year. This is what I want to do. And you analyze everything, and then make a recommendation. You don't have a car beforehand that you're trying to sell to the client. If you walk into a showroom, that guy can only sell you what's on his floor. He needs to sell you what's on his floor.
You always try to sell what's on your floor, but I don't want to manipulate. So effectively, if something that I have on floor is not going to work for the client, I'm transparent about it. Yes, as a business owner, it is best for me to sell the car that's on my floor because there's capital in it. But I always try to remind me about my roots, is not trying to influence or manipulate, is to add value. So if you add the value and you do the proper needs analysis, and you stick to your basics, and you're not greedy, and you're not prejudiced, then it works. There is dealerships that do it, but there's also dealerships that doesn't do it. So I can't really answer for other dealerships. I truly hope they're doing it, and may the Lord bless their business. I can just focus on myself, and every customer that goes through my business, I try to take accountability for.
Hardus, enough of car friend. Let's talk Danica Spa.
Okay.
Why?
Good question.
The day you phoned me and said you're going to buy a spa, I said to you, what the hell are you doing? That was my initial thought.
And I'm still asking that question today. Okay, so if I can just once again, I don't know why. I don't know why till today. My wife asked me the same question. But all I can tell you is when I bought it, I had peace. I prayed about it. Paper-wise, there was an asset. So there's a building, there's a property, there's business operations. It's an industry that if you look in how many beauty salons, we're not a beauty salon, we're a beauty spa, so it's a bit about more the experience than the treatment. I still feel that it's a business that's viable. There's an industry for it. There's always people spending money on those type of things. It's a bit of a luxurious market, but there is your people that spend there, and ladies need to do their nails. So for me, it was not renting a business and trying to do beauty salon. There was a property involved. There was a running concern.
Yeah, I know. When we sat the first time, and you said you're gonna buy a spa, I said you're crazy, and then you showed me what actually you're buying, and that made a hell of a lot of sense. So I think that's definitely that's also a skill that you have, is to just, you're not focused on the spa. You are focused on the spa, the day-to-day or whatever, but the business side of the spa worked, and that's why you invested in that property, in that business.
Yeah, it is calculated for me because there's an asset.
Calculated risk.
Yeah, there's an asset. So even if the business operations doesn't work, the location of the building is in a good location. So for me, it's a risk, but it was calculated.
And that's usually what's wrong with a idea that you have. Let's say somebody gets an idea and he wants to do it. Usually, it's not. They have this idea. They maybe go into rental space or whatever, and there's no calculations, there's no calculated, there's nothing. They only have an idea and think it's going to blow up. And when you look at ventures outside of your industry, that's definitely not your forte or your field of expertise. But you calculated the risk beforehand, before you made the decision.
I tried to, but it's not something that I did alone. Like like I said, you were involved whilst I was doing that. My father-in-law, his opinion also tells a lot to me, or speaks a lot to me. So effectively, for him also, the asset in the background just made sense. So effectively, even if the business doesn't work, I bought an asset. I bought assets in the building itself. So for me, it was okay. It's calculated, something that you can try to make work. And if it doesn't work, all glory to the Lord Jesus Christ. The business is not exploding, but it's hovering and it's paying itself, and it's going on. So I'm humbled about it, but there's a lot of work to be done there, because the principle, yes, it's not my forte and it's not my expertise, but business remains business. Where you add value, where you're transparent, where you look about your customer experience, evaluate it. It needs to grow. It needs to snowball somewhere. So answering your quick question, why that business and why something else is and why it's not my expertise is like somebody once asked me, do you believe in business ethics? And I said no. And he's like, but how? How can you not believe in business ethics? I told him, because there is no such thing as business ethics. And he said like me, like you're looking at me now with a question mark on your face. And I just told him, there's just ethics. Either you're ethical or you're not ethical. There's not something as business ethics, and that's how I feel about different business models. Everything has got a cost. Everything's got a retail price, but it's the experience that you obtain or you deliver to your client that, in my view, provides the added value and provide them or enable them to come back to you.
On a practical note, what challenges do you face there? Do they phone you and say that?
No, I mean you've got challenges because there's a lot more throughput. And just remember, when people go into a luxury market, it's there's a certain expectation. So the biggest thing is for them to try to deliver at their expectation, but it's not always possible because there's only so much resources that you have that you can apply. There's certain procedures, so expectation plays a big role. And then challenges is you've got labor challenges. I think the biggest problem in any business is labor and people being engaged, not committed, not being. You need engaged employees. People, what that entails is people that's on the same boat as you. Not we're all on different boats and we're rowing. We're on the same boat. Engagement means they take ownership. When the customer walks in there, they treat the customer as if it's their own. So your biggest challenges, or my biggest challenge in that business and all the businesses or the few businesses, is to have your people engaged. That is journeying with you. Do they have the same value system? Do they see a customer experience the same? Do they understand that money follows value that you add? Not you mustn't chase money. You must chase value because money follows. So there's a certain business beliefs that I try to entail into the business. But your biggest challenges and barriers is how do you implement change? How do you manage your people? How do you get them involved? And then how you can get it as operational and as structured as possible.
Thank you. Let's quickly talk about property development.
That I can learn a lot from you, but
I want it out of your mouth.
I can give you my 2 cents, but
why venture into properties? I mean, you have a thriving business. You have a side business as well with the spa. Why do property?
Because I don't believe in pension.
We had this conversation a hell of a lot of times.
So effectively for me that to put in 10 or 15,000 rand a month into any some kind of pension fund or whatever, that I can learn by you a lot. But logically by me, if you can put the same amount of money into properties because of time value of money. What I mean about that is, if somebody can advise you as best as possible, in 20 years they can build you up a pension fund or annuity or whatever you believe in, or the advice the person gives you. But you don't know what's that 20 million worth in 20 years. But you don't know what you can buy with that. So effectively for me to invest into properties provides me with capital growth, something that remains market related, and there's a rental income correlated with that. So when I get to 20 years or 25 years from now and you build up a decent property portfolio, you can then monetize it because the property is going to have a value. So if you need a lump sum that you, for some kind of reason, or you can pivot from that, it can generate a monthly income for you that is stable. So yeah, that's where my interest spark. And then also with properties is if you pay it up, you can use the equity again. So me being an entrepreneurial mind, I can bond the property again, and then I can use that money to make money again. Because at the end of the day, you need to have money or some kind of resource to make resources with.
Yeah, if I had to put a gun to your head and say you can invest anywhere in South Africa, where would it be?
You mean property development?
Property development.
I will definitely not hesitate to invest in Western Cape. Predominantly, I will go for the South Cape.
Why?
Very good question.
Can I tell you why? I think
You may.
they fix their potholes at night. We were in George over the holiday season, and we drove in the streets at night, and they do their repairs on the road at night, not to disturb the traffic. I think there's a hell of a lot of people moving to that part of the country. And I think the reason is just governance. I mean, stuff work. We as South Africans want to do business. We want to... Ons wil hê dit moet goed gaan met ons. We want to go forward. We want to move upwards and onwards. And I think there's a lot of people moving to that part of the country. And the properties value, you just alluded to that. That is probably where the growth will be in the next 10, 15 years.
Because everyone is moving there. The question is why. I think it's a difficult question just to answer in isolation. I think the life quality, they just argue differently than we are. I mean, when we started this conversation, you told me, yes, we hear CBD Klerksdorp. That's exactly why. I'm not saying there's no crime there. I'm saying it's not so blatant. Yeah. You still get house breaks there, but the police work, the support. I mean, I was sitting there also in George area. I got a water leak. We phoned the municipality. It was a public holiday. It wasn't 3 hours. They stopped there. They fixed the water leak. Comparison, yeah, I've got a water leak at my water box.
You must fix it yourself.
You can't fix it. It's a municipal line.
Oh.
It's 1 year now. You're not getting, you can report it as much as what you want. It's not happening. So governance, 100%.
But let's talk about that. I mean, let's say 10 years or 15 years ago, someone else had the same conversation and the guy said, no, he's rather investing in property than saving the money in a pension fund or whatever. And his property is here in Klerksdorp CBD.
Yeah, I agree, but it's also an unfair question, because if a guy is a property investor and you see that the area is falling apart, you climb out of the area. You don't wait until it's totally depleted and then you say, yeah, but I invested it. So you must also do your market analysis. It's not something that you do and you forget about it. You need to remain on top of it.
You need to check what your return on investment actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you analyze everything that you're doing, there's a return on investment. If that's not worthwhile anymore, and your growth isn't there anymore, then you need to move your money. That's actually quite simple.
Even there, I mean, you can go and buy an Hartenbos yourself, but there it's not a good investment, because the properties are very scarce. I mean, the price that you need to pay for the property, maybe if you do it cash, it's a different question. But if you need to bond it and make it work, and you want to have capital grow, so no, it's the 100%. It's the you need to. There's always risk in it. I mean, nothing is guaranteed in life. I mean, if it was easy, everyone would do it. There's a certain risk that you need to obtain. I mean, and then you need to follow with it. And the thing is, if you start with it and you're committed to it, you need to pull through with it. And that's in anything you do. Whether you're trying to start car friend, you're doing Danica Spa or whatever. The thing is, people start with a very, very high, as if they're on dopamine, right? And then all of a sudden they came to realize, but this is not as easy. And that's the time. That's the time you need to push through. Be constant. The thing is, water breaks through rock, not because of its strength, but because of its persistence. So you need to keep on knocking the door down and being constant and push through in business. Whatever you do, when somebody approaches me and they ask me, is this going to work? Then I ask them, do you believe it's going to work? They say yes, and I say it's going to work. If they say, whether you believe it or you don't believe it, you're probably right. But you need to understand it's not easy. There's a sacrifice that's going to go into it. Maybe it's going to go through a low season. Then you need to stay rooted. And you need to understand and keep yourself accountable.
I think in property, why it's for me such an attractive investment is you have actually three parts. The one is your value of the property, which usually will escalate if you buy in the right area. Your income stream on your rental, that also escalates each year because they need to...
Time value of money.
Definitely.
Inflation.
And your debt is being paid off actually. So I think that's why property for me is definitely worthwhile. You are investing a lot of money into other parts that's far away from you at the moment, geographically. What lessons have you learned dealing with the guy that's doing the building for you?
Yeah, in business there's a lot of luck also. I mean, it's hearing one thing, somebody says another thing, and then you need to hear and try to take out all the marketing distortion out of your ears, and then try to make an informed decision. Lessons that I've learned in that, yes, it is true, ver van jou goed naby in jou skade, far from your things, you're very close to damages and stuff like that. But I won't say I'm risk averse, but I'm very calculated. So I started to invest in South Cape. We've got a very strong family presence there. So I visited my cousins there in Albertina. And then just to once again sit with them, because they are business owners, they're in transport and they're in construction and stuff like that. Just to sit with them and hear, not to try to talk too much, hear what they're saying and trying to learn from them, because they're much more older than me. I learned from them, and then I started to ask the questions. It's risk when building with contractors and stuff like that. You need more to do your research on them. Try to get some kind of portfolio. What did they build before, whatever the case might be. And then whilst I was building, I had a very decent uncle involved. He was the project manager, so he was basically my eyes and my feet. So I paid him a monthly salary, of which he was there on site every day. So he needed to do quality control, keeping the guys accountable, talking and negotiating on my behalf. And then from there, everything was transparent again. I believe in transparency. I believe I'm all for people making money. I just want to know what I'm doing. I want basically somebody to reciprocate what I'm doing in the motor industry. I want to be informed. I want to be treated fairly, and that's what I look for. And then when I make the decision, I go for it. But there's always risk, and there's also a bit of luck in it.
Hardus, thank you so much for your insights. It's one of the last questions. If you could go back to your young self and give him advice, what would it be?
Sure. That number one, I would have did the effort to learn the Lord Jesus much more early in my life, to entail and apply certain fundamentals. Although my father and my mom every day they lived the Christian house, they set a good example. Just to apply it and listen to them and listen to their warnings in life. And then secondly, I will say once again, sit with somebody older than you that you truly inspires you, somebody that in your framework is successful in life. The fundamentals is based on what you understand for character-wise, and then learn from them. Learn from older people. Learn from people that's older than you. I had this type of kairos moment once with my father-in-law. He was sitting and I asked him the same question. If it was 15 years back, what will you do different? And then he said, if I knew what I knew now, and then that stuck with me. I want to know what I need to know now, and the only way you can look into the future is to talk to somebody that already walked the path. So there's certain things that somebody gives you advice or give you their opinion, then I chuck it away, and I'm okay. This is not something that applies to me. And then certain things, elderly people give you warnings, and then being young, you want to say, no, I'll do it myself. I'm going to make this work. It's also not wrong, but to apply with no form of arrogance, to try to hear the life lesson, apply it, and try to mitigate. Not to think afterwards, you know what, somebody actually warned me, but I was too ignorant to apply it in my life because I wanted to taste it myself. So yeah, I will say to learn from people that you trust, people that walk the path, and for somebody to mentor you in that regard.
What advice would you offer someone that wants to start his own business?
There's never a right time. It's like getting married, buying your first dog, having children. There's never a right time in life. There's going to be a time where you think you need to do it, and then you're afraid. If you want to do it, you must just do it. The most successful entrepreneurs in life was pushed to that point. They needed to do it. You can go and look at certain people. Let's take KFC, for instance. He had his dream and he kept on pushing. Colonel, what's his name? Or whatever his name is. So my thing is, if you've got a vision, and you did your market analysis, and you did critical factors, what is going to make this successful? Not guarantee success, but if you focus on these factors, or you need this, and you've got certain tools in place, a business is never, except if you inherit it, something to start from start. It's never going to be bloomy in the beginning. You need to know that you've done your best to prepare yourself, and then you need to prepare yourself that it's not going to be easy. And then when it's not easy, you need to push through. Don't make money your aim. Money must follow you. You buy what you offer to the public, the value that you're adding. So when it becomes tough, you need to push through. And that will be my advice.
Hardus, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for your insights. 2 points that I want to highlight and take out of this. The one is ask advice, especially from older people, and listen to that advice. And the other one is, if you want to walk the journey of an entrepreneur or start your own business, you can definitely do it, and you need to do it. But you need to do it on a calculated basis, not just rent space and start a business, but do it calculated. With your girlfriend, I know how you operate your business, with the spa, my initial thought was, you're crazy. But once you showed me, then I realized you already made every calculation that there can be. And also the property development, it's a hell of a risk, but if it's calculated and you can mitigate most of the risk, usually it will work out hopefully good, and obviously a bit of luck also. But thank you so much. You are inspiration to me and a very good friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the honor. It's humbling.
In Univision, and I've always said to Dav, you're the reason we have become a success. It was in the building Senbase, Univision, like insurance company, and I said, can I have a meeting? And we went there, and they said, yeah, we would run 5 billboards in like Bultfontein, Bothaville, Lichtenburg, Freiburg, and they wanted it double-sided, and they will pay upfront rental for the year.